Breaking news now on Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Oh, we just got this new video into our newsroom here, so check it out. This is the aftermath of a kitchen fire in Columbia. The fire chief tells us that the fire started just after 3 in the morning. 2 adults and a child were home at the time of the fire. They were able to get out before the firefighters arrived there. So good news. The child is okay. Both the adults were taken to the hospital to get checked out. Their home, of course, no longer safe to live in, but the Red Cross has been called in to help them out. The good news there, everybody is safe. Looks like everyone is going to be just fine. Good morning to you. Thanks for starting off your day here with us, America Arias.
And I'm Tim Lammers. During the winter, house fires are sometimes trickier to fight because the water that they use tends to ice over. That was not a problem in Columbia yesterday. Let's get over to meteorologist Rachel Piscatelli. My goodness, we are miles away from freezing.
Oh, absolutely. This morning is chilly, but overall, yesterday afternoon, temperatures made it into the mid-60s. It's going to be another beautiful day for us with a taste of spring on the way this afternoon. Right now, our numbers are closer to that freezing point at 30 degrees in Torrington. It's 31 in Hartford, 27 degrees in Willimantic. We're around 29 in southeastern Connecticut over near Groton and Stonington. Our wind speeds, though, are fine. They're anywhere from calm to about 3 miles per hour. So overall, when you step outside, you're not really noticing the wind. But moving forward, late morning, early afternoon, that wind begins to pick up. We could see occasional gusts closer to 20 to 30 miles per hour. So it is going to make things feel a little bit colder along the shoreline. Although our highs will move around 53 degrees at noontime into the mid-60s in the afternoon. We also have to watch for that elevated brush fire risk throughout the day today. We do have low relative humidity, and with that wind picking up and that dead brush that's outside, that is just a perfect recipe for that. So be mindful of that. 58 degrees in Milford, 62 in Hamden later on today. Southeastern Connecticut slightly colder in the mid to low 50s, 59 in Montville, 61 in Pomfret. Where we go from here, your full 7-day forecast. We'll talk about the cooler temperatures that are on the way coming up in just a bit. As we check in with the roads this morning here at 6:02, things are running smoothly on the roads. We have road work that has cleared for the morning commute, so good news there. A live look outside over in New Haven. Both directions out by Long Wharf are running smoothly at this hour. Also checking in with Cheshire on 84. Both directions look good east and westbound. New Haven drive times, a little bit of a delay from New Haven to Bridgeport. It's typically what we see as those slowdowns as you kind of merge onto 95, 45 miles per hour, taking you just around 29 minutes. Over to you.
Rachel, thanks. Well, developing right now at 6:02, a West Hartford paraprofessional was arrested on sexual assault charges. He is accused of inappropriately touching 2 students.
Fox 61's Kaylee Collins is live in West Hartford with a story that generally tends to make parents perk up and pay attention. Kaylee, what do we know in this case?
Yeah, Tim, understandably so. Well, West Hartford police tell us that 24-year-old Dean Allen Jones III was arrested last Friday. That was March 7th, after the West Hartford Board of Education had filed a complaint against him back in January. So now Jones is facing multiple charges. That includes 2 counts of sexual assault in the 4th degree and also 1 count of enticing a minor by computer. Police say that Jones worked at the Strive program, which the West Hartford Public Schools describes as a program for middle and high school students with significant behavioral and emotional disabilities. Superintendent Paul Vicinis said that Jones was suspended as police conducted an investigation. Jones is now no longer employed by the district at this point. In a statement, the superintendent said in part, quote, "Throughout this process, school personnel, DCF, and the West Hartford Police Department have been in communication with the families of the students involved, and appropriate supports continue to be available. The safety and well-being of all students is a top priority, and the parties involved are to be commended for coming forward to report this very regrettable and inappropriate situation." Now, this incident comes not long after another educator at a private school here in West Hartford was accused of touching students inappropriately back in January. And also just last week, a paraprofessional in Bristol was arrested on possession of child sexual assault or child sexual abuse materials as well. So
unfortunately, We lost the audio feed to Kayla. You can see she's still talking, so we'll try to get that set up and figured out for you and get back to her in a few moments.
Well, meantime, 2 Muslim students in Waterbury are recovering after advocates say they were attacked by classmates for wearing hijabs. The Council on American Islamic Relations says the students are Egyptian and they just moved to Connecticut not too long ago. Fox 61's Jamal Johnson is in Waterbury with what we know so far.
Islamophobia is an epidemic that's run rampant throughout the country for decades, and now students and staff at Wallace Middle School are feeling the impact. March 3rd, 2025 was the 4th day of Ramadan. It was also the day Farhan Mimin from CARE says 2 Islamic students were targeted for their beliefs. According to Mimin, the 2 students were girls who just migrated from Egypt. He says they were targeted for wearing their hijab to school. Mimin says this attack could have happened to anyone. That's how Fad Saeed feels about sending his 6th grade daughter to school after this incident.
One of the girls suffered bruises to her face and a bloody nose. The other one seems to have had something scraped alongside her neck. But for the grace of God, they're alive. They've been in pain for the past week, staying at home because they're fearful about going back to school. Literally the most violent incident of school bullying that I've seen in my 10 years of working with care.com.
Without a doubt, it could be because my daughter just started wearing her hijab not too long ago. My older daughter had her hijab torn off before. I believe it was at Crosby. But when I heard that, I kind of thought maybe it was my daughter, Yeah, it could be my daughter tomorrow.
Mimin tells me that CARE will be sending a letter to the superintendent's office to try to schedule a meeting with the parents regarding the investigation, a safety plan, and disciplinary action for those involved. In Waterbury, Jamal Johnson, Fox 61.
Maybe one day you've needed a ride to the airport or to work or a safe ride home after a night out. By this point, a lot of us have used a Rideshare app, but Rideshare drivers have said they're still struggling.
Yeah, and now they're asking for better pay and also safer working conditions. Fox 61's Emma Wolfhorst spoke with local Uber and Lyft drivers about the issues they're facing.
Yeah, these drivers tell me their pay has gone down significantly in recent years, coupled with the rising costs of living and inflation and what they call a lack of transparency from these rideshare companies.
Rideshare and delivery app drivers are at the tip of our fingers.
8 deliveries of Walmart.
But those behind the wheel, like Alex Johnson, say they're struggling and need state help.
People need to be able to feed their families. The time is now.
Johnson has been driving for nearly 6 years.
Drivers should be treated equally as every other laborer in the state. It's about fair and equal measures.
She's now pushing the state legislature to pass a bill she says will help drivers like her survive.
A lot of times these companies are lying to nutmeggers that they are giving us 75% of the pay. That is not true. By the end of fees and everything else, and not even counting gas and everything outside we have to pay towards our cars, we're ending up with 30%.
This legislation would create transparency by requiring companies to give drivers a detailed receipt with a breakdown of the cost of the ride, including the time, distance, and pay rate, something rideshare driver Michael Smith says is needed.
If they don't tell us how much a passenger is paying, then we can't use that to our advantage to basically fight for our own rights.
The bill would also require the company's messaging to drivers be available in both English and Spanish and prevent companies from suspending or banning drivers solely for filing a complaint.
If drivers cannot communicate with these companies, how can they understand what the standards are for the driving and for the road?
There is some opposition to this bill, notably from the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, which submitted testimony saying this measure, quote, adds onerous reporting and administrative requirements that in many cases are already being done by the companies impacted. A representative for Uber also called the provisions in this bill onerous, adding they, quote, not only don't serve the goal of increased transparency, but could also have unintended consequences for riders and drivers.
Now, a similar bill was brought up last
last legislative session, but never made it across the finish line. This year, advocates tell me they're more hopeful. Reporting in Hartford, Emma Wolforst, Fox 61.
Emma, thank you. Well, there is a push at the state capitol to ensure people's safety both on the roads and on the water. State lawmakers are considering changing the state's laws regarding driving under the influence. They want anyone who's convicted of DUI on the roads to also lose their boating license. This comes after 3 people were killed in a boat crash last Labor Day. Police said the boat's operator, Clayton Hackling, was under the influence and speeding when that boat hit a breakwater. The thing is, Hackling was arrested and charged with DUI about 5 months before that. Now, among those who spoke at a public hearing yesterday were a mother and a friend of one of the loved ones who died in that boat crash.
This legislation is not about punishment, it's about prevention. It's about ensuring that people who have demonstrated a disregard for safety on our roads do not carry that risk onto our waterways.
Passing this legislation will not bring my son back, but it will ensure that his death was not in vain. It will be a step towards accountability, responsibility, and safety, so that other mothers never have to stand where I am standing today.
Hackling has been charged with 3 separate counts of manslaughter in the boat crash case.